In today's video, we will be going through the process of loading data from Amazon S3 to Amazon Redshift using AWS Glue. So let's get to it. Okay, so like I mentioned, in today's video, we will be going through the end-to-end process of loading data from Amazon S3 to Amazon Redshift using AWS Glue. So this is how our architecture will be looking like, and we will have data stored in AWS S3 or Amazon Simple Storage Service, or S3 if you like. And then in between here, we will have AWS Glue, and this will be the service that will be doing our data transformations. So we will do our transformations in AWS Glue, and then eventually we will load this transformed data to Amazon Redshift data warehouse. Okay, so this is how our data flow will be looking like, and this is what we'll be covering in this video. Quickly, before we get into the demo, I just want to quickly walk you through a very high level overview of what these services are in case you are new to these services. Okay, so let's get to AWS Glue. And AWS Glue is a serverless data integration service, and this is a very popular tool that is provided by AWS. So it is an ETL as well as data integration service that is provided by AWS. And when we talk of data integration, you can use AWS Glue to integrate your data that is in S3, RDS, DynamoDB, or Redshift. So actually, you can bring all of this data into a single location. So if you have data scattered across all of these services, you can use Glue to actually bring together all of this data. So in other words, it glues your data. That's why it's called AWS Glue. Okay, so it's like a glue. Right, so it brings all of your data that is in disparate places together into one place. Okay, so you can use it to integrate your data from different locations and also transform this data. All right, so the other point here is that it is an automation tool kind of. So you can use it to automate extraction, transformation, and loading of data into your data warehouse or other storage systems. Okay, so this is basically what I was mentioning, that if you have data from different places, you can extract this data, you can use Glue to transform it, and also you can use the same tool to load data into a data warehouse like Redshift, for example, or other storage services like S3 or even DynamoDB. Okay, so you can use all of this you can do all of this within Glue. It supports batch and real-time processing. Okay, so these are the two capabilities. So if you have streaming data, you can use Glue to do that process, as well as you can also use do batch processing. Okay, so batch processing, for example, if you have data in S3 and you want to use Glue to process that data, if you're getting the data once a day or twice a day, however many times, non-streaming data, you can use Glue to process that data. You can also do real-time streaming. So if you're streaming data from various sources, either landing to S3 or coming through Kinesis, you can do all of that. So you can actually do processing of real-time as well as batch data using AWS Glue. And then when we come to other features that Glue provides, you do have Glue Studio, and Glue Studio provides you with a visual drag and drop interface. And actually, this is what we'll be doing in this video. So we will be using the Glue Studio to transform our data and load it to Redshift. Okay, so you will see this once we get into our demo. Okay, so it does provide you with a visual drag and drop interface. If you are someone who don't want to use the drag and drop option, there is also a script option where you can write your Python scripts as well as PySpark scripts. So you can do, so Glue provides you with both of the options. And then the other feature for Glue is scalability. So behind the hood or under the hood, Glue is built on top of Apache Spark, and Apache Spark, as we know, is very good at processing large amount of data. So this means that with Glue you can actually process quite a bit of data, a large amount of data, large volumes of data in a very efficient and faster process. Okay, so if you have petabytes or terabytes of data in S3 or Redshift, you can leverage Glue to process this data, and your data will be processed much faster than using SQL or traditional Python, for example. Okay. The other use cases for Glue here, you can use Glue to transform, and I think we've been mentioning this. So you can use Glue to transform and clean raw data before you store it into your data warehouse. So you can have data sitting in your data lake in S3, and then from there you can use Glue to transform and clean that data, and then eventually load it to your data warehouse. Okay. You can combine data from multiple sources for unified analysis. So yeah, that's what I was also mentioning here. It's kind of an integration tool. So if you have your data from different services in AWS, you can use Glue to combine that data. All right. And then the other use case here is handling streaming data from IoT devices or event streams. Okay, so if you have data coming from streaming services like IoT, or you have event data coming into your data lake or your data warehouse, you can also use Glue to handle and process this data. All right. And then the last use case I have here is organizing and preparing data stored in Amazon S3 for querying and analysis. All right, so this is kind of also what we'll be doing in this video. So you can process data that is stored in S3, prepare it, and query this data once it's ready. So Glue provides you with a data catalog. So if you just want to use a service like Amazon Athena to query your data, then you can leverage Glue to clean that data, and then use Athena to query it and analyze it. And I think from Athena you can also go to QuickSight and create some quick dashboards and things like that. Okay, so that is just a very high level of Glue. There's a lot that come with Glue, and I probably barely scratch the surface. So if maybe in future I will dig deeper into Glue, but I just wanted to quickly walk you through a very high level of Glue because we'll be using it in this video. Okay, and the next one is AWS Redshift. And if you have been working with AWS data analytics specialty kind of it, you probably may have heard of AWS Redshift. So Redshift is a data warehouse that AWS provides you, and it's fully managed. That means that AWS does all of the management, and all you have to do is basically provision it and then use it to store your data and process your data as a data warehouse. So it is a fully managed, and it scales from a few gigabytes to petabytes of data. So this Amazon Redshift is massive, and it can store your data and process also terabytes and gigabytes and petabytes of data seamlessly. Okay, so it's quite fast when it comes to processing large amount of data. And you can also use it to integrate data with services like S3, Glue, Athena, Lambda, QuickSight. So this is also what I was mentioning when I was going over Glue, that you can use Glue to send your data to Redshift. So also in Redshift, you can use it to get data from services like S3, Glue, Athena, Lambda. So you can integrate with all of these services. So for example, if you have Athena, I think you can query Redshift. If you are in S3, you can bring data from Redshift to your S3. Or if you want to bring directly data from S3 to Redshift, you can also do that as well as QuickSight. So you can use QuickSight to connect directly to Redshift, and that is just one of the very cool feature with Redshift. You can seamlessly integrate it with other services. I think you can also connect it to RDS. So if you have transactional data that is sitting in RDS, I believe there's a feature now that you can connect your Redshift to RDS and then get that data from RDS. Okay. I mentioned it's fully managed, so that means that AWS will do the provisioning, it will do the configuration, monitoring, backup, scaling, and this will free you from infrastructure management. So if you have been working in the on-premise world, you probably have gone through the pain of configuring your, let's say if you're using SQL Server, you may have gone through the process of configuring it, creating the indexes, query performance. I mean, you still do some of the query optimization in Redshift, but it's much easier than traditional on-prem world where you have to do everything. Okay, so AWS will do everything for you here, and all you have to do is basically, bring your data and do your analysis. Okay, and then some of the use cases that come with AWS Redshift. So you can do business intelligence. So you can create, you can use Redshift to run complex queries for dashboards and reports. Okay, so you can come to Redshift, create your queries, and then for your dashboards or for your reporting teams. And once your table is ready, then you can connect it to your reporting tools. So I think you can connect it to reporting tools as QuickSight. QuickSight is AWS provided BI tool. I think you can also send it to Power BI or a Tableau or some other dashboard tooling that you use. Okay, and then it's a data warehouse. So this provides you with data warehousing. This means you can consolidate structured data from various sources for analysis. So yeah, this is your data warehouse in other words. So you can bring all of your data, structured data that you have cleaned, bring it to data warehouse, to Redshift, and then from here you can now create your data maps and start using this data for analysis. Okay, and then right here you do get also big data analytics, so you can analyze a petabyte scale of data efficiently. So this will control this, and then last one here, you can use AWS Redshift to query your data lake. Okay, so data lake here we're talking of S3. So if you have data that is stored in S3, either in structured or a semi-structured or unstructured manner, you can use AWS Redshift to directly query that data. Okay, so that is just a very quick overview of Redshift. And the last one here is AWS S3. And Amazon S3 is also one of the very popular feature that AWS provides. And this is your data lake. Okay, so this is where you store all types of data. So when you hear of data lake in AWS, S3 is what people are talking of. Okay, so this is a very highly scalable, durable, and secure object storage service that is provided by AWS, and it stores unlimited amount of data in the form of objects. We're talking of files within packets or containers. Okay, so you store files. You can and this we are talking of any types of files. Okay, so you can have very unstructured files like text in text format. You can have images. You can have videos. You can have structures data like for example CSV files, that that is quite structured, XML data, all kind of data. You just bring it to your S3. So it's like kind of a lake, right? So when you talk of a lake, when it rains, all kind of objects are flown into the lake. So Amazon S3 will do that work for you. So it stores everything for you. All right. And so there are some features that come with S3. For example, you can do data tiering in S3. So the very basic one, when you create a very basic bucket in S3, S3 standard is created for you. So this one is for frequently accessed data. So if you're accessing data in S3 frequently to send it to your Glue or your data warehouse or your databases like RDS and things like that. So whenever you are frequently accessing data, then S3 standard is the layer of the storage that you can use. And then we also have S3 intelligent tiering. So this one will automatically move data between tiers based on usage. So if you have this data intelligent tiering enabled in S3, then that means that automatically S3 will monitor the usage of your data, and if it notices that you are not frequently using your data in particular class, then it will automatically move it. Okay, so this is also a nice kind of machine learning feature class in Amazon S3 that you can use. And then we have here standard IA or infrequent access. So this is used to store data that you don't frequently access. And then the last one here is S3 Glacier or Deep Archive, and this one is for long-term archive storage. So as you go down, the cost of storing also goes down. So in terms of how much you pay, S3 standard is you pay more, and as you go down these tier classes, you pay lower. So this is the cheapest to store your data. So if you're storing it for long term, then you can move your data here. But now to retrieve this data back, you may have the cost increases. Okay, so as you go up, the cost increases. As you go down, the cost also reduces. Okay, so some of the quick use cases for S3. So you can use S3 for data backup and archiving. So again, if you store it in Glacier, then that is for long-term and reliable data storage. So you can use it for that purpose. You can use S3 for big data analytics. So this is a foundation for data lakes and analytics pipeline. So if you're running Databricks, for example, is a lakehouse architecture. So you can have your data sitting in AWS S3, and then just query the data directly from your data lake, and then that will enable you to carry out your data analytics. You can use it to store static websites, or you host static websites. So if you have HTML, CSS, and JavaScript files, you can store them in a S3 bucket, and then you can use that to serve a website that is static, And then you can use also S3 to store media. So if you have videos, images, audio, I mentioned it at the beginning here, all of those you can store it in S3 bucket. Okay. And then the other one here is for disaster recovery. So you can store secure and durable. S3 provides you with secure and durable storage for disaster recovery options. So if you have backup files, you can store them in S3, and whenever there is disaster in your warehouse or a data analytics services, then you can recover it from S3. Okay, so I think Redshift, I believe, stores some backup in S3, and I believe also some other services like RDS. So S3, if you want, I think you can configure all of those to store backups in S3 because it's also quite cheap. And then here we have also data IoT storage, and this one you can use S3 to store massive IoT generated data streams. So if you have IoT streams, you can store it here. I think even like streaming videos, backups, you can store it in S3. This is again one of the it's one of the cheapest to store very large amount of data. So you can have terabytes of data stored here, and it will be quite cheap to do that. All right, so that is just a very quick overview of the three services we'll be using in this demo. So now let's go ahead and get started with our demo. All right, so we will go ahead and do that. So now we will transition to AWS. Okay, so just go ahead to your AWS console and get logged in. Okay, so if you haven't logged in, you just go ahead and log in. And if you're a new user in AWS, I think AWS provides you with, I believe, 1 year of credit usage. So if you're new, you can just use your email, and I believe you should get some credits to use for almost a year. Okay, depending on how fast you use it. But I have exhausted it. It's not very expensive as long as you shut down the services after you use. It should not be very expensive. Okay, so once you're here now, the first place that we need to do is to make sure that our services we'll be using this video are up and configured. And the first one that I'll be going to is S3. So just go to, if you search S3 here, you will see it, or if you have been using recently, then you will also see them here. So for me, I have been using S3, so I'm just going to click here, and this will take me to Amazon S3. And the bucket I will be using is this one for CKE Data Tech. I created this before, and inside this bucket, I created another subfolder called orders. Okay, so inside this orders is where we will be uploading the file that we will be processing. Okay, so this is the bucket CKE Data Tech. If you don't have a bucket, just go ahead and create a bucket here. Okay, it should be a unique bucket, globally unique. So just go ahead and put the name here and go ahead and create it. You can go through some of the other options, but this one should create you a standard basic bucket. Okay. All right. So once you do that, we should be good with our bucket, S3 bucket. And then the other service I will be using here is Amazon Redshift. So I'm just going to also go to Redshift. Again, the same thing you can do here. You can click Redshift here. and this will bring you to Amazon Redshift, and just open it. All right. Okay. So so here I'm in my Redshift here, and so this is serverless Redshift dashboard, and I'm not sure if the other option of Redshift is still there, the provisioned one. But as of 2024, I created this Redshift serverless data warehouse early this year or sometime last year. It's been here for a while. It's very cheap. So if you don't have a Redshift data warehouse, I think the process should not be very hard to go through. I think the first thing you need to do is configure your namespace, and then after that you create a work group, and inside your work group is where you are. So kind of like your namespace is your cluster, and then the work group is your database. So just go through that, and if you want to know the process of creating serverless Redshift account or data warehouse, I did a video previously where I went through the process of creating data warehouse, and quickly I will just show you quickly in my channel. If I go there, I did a video where I went through the process of creating Redshift data warehouse right here. Okay, so set up AWS Redshift serverless for beginners. So I'm going to put this in the description for this video. If you want to go through the process, I did a detailed video where I went through the configuration and everything. So if you want to know the process of configuring your Redshift data warehouse, just take a look into that video, and you should be able to have your serverless data warehouse for Redshift created. So I do have it created for me here. So if you go to your work group, on this left side here, we can go to the query editor, and this should bring us to our Redshift editor. Okay, so I do have it right here, a number of schemas created. So these are the databases that are created, and I'm just going to the database that we will be using. Actually, let me just drop a number of these as databases. So drop database, and I will actually I'll just drop this one called demo, for example. I'll drop this demo one. Okay, so we'll drop it, and then the one that actually we will use for this video is this one for demo. So I'll just clean this one up, but if you don't have a database here created, all you have to do is just go ahead and to create a database, and then the data name. So actually, let me do that. So I'm just going to say create. So we have dropped one of this database here. I just want to show you how you can do that quickly. So I have dropped one of the other one. I will also drop this one for DemoDB, and I will recreate it. Okay, create database. So all right, we have to go to another, maybe dbt demo, or actually let's go to dev, because you cannot drop if you are inside the database that you're using. Okay, it's being accessed by other users. All right, so we will not drop this one for now, but if you just want to create a database, you can go ahead and say create database and the name of the database. So if you just want to create demo database, this will create a database here for you. All right, so for now I will not do that, and the database that we will be using in this video is this one here for DemoDB, this one here. Okay, let's see if we have any tables here. We have one table here, and I'm going to drop this table. This is a table that I created before, so I'm just going to drop this table. All right, so notice if you're using this editor, you will see these options here. So this is your serverless. So you'll have the serverless here account created, and then or selected, and here you'll have the schemas or the databases. So if, for example, you want to create it, if you have, several databases, you have to select it here. So for example, here I have my demo DB here, and inside here I want to drop this orders table, which is located here. I think I already dropped it. So we have it. Okay. So it is saying that I don't have it here. Demo DB. Let's see. I don't know what's going on here. There may be code dropped. Yeah, it got dropped. Okay. So now I think I also need to drop the schema. Drop schema staging. I don't think I'll be using that. All right. So now we have our clean database that we will be using to write our data to. Okay. So we will be using this demo DP to write our transform data from Glue. Okay. So this is a table that we'll be creating a table here. Actually, we will let Glue create a table. So this is empty database for now. When we run our Glue job, the table will be created inside this database. If you don't want to do that, you can create a table. You can create a table inside this public schema, and then just go to your Glue and select the created table already. I don't want to do that, so I will just let Glue create a table when we run our Glue job. Okay, so Glue can also do that for you. All right, so we do have now our database ready for us here in Redshift. And then now finally, we just need to go to our Glue. All right, so we will go to Glue, and you can do the same thing here. All you have to do is just click Glue here, and it will bring you, it will show you Glue. And this is our Glue dashboard. Okay, so this is our Glue dashboard. There's a lot going on here. The first thing that we need to do here is to create our crawler. Okay, so we will create our crawler. So if you go to data catalog, we will go to crawlers, and a crawler basically will crawl. Basically, it will connect to your data store in S3 or a Redshift. So it can connect to a few places, and it will process and classify your data. So basically, it will crawl your data and determine the schema for your data, and then create a metadata for you in your data catalog. Okay, so that is what crawler does. So I'm just going to delete this crawler that I had before. All right, so we have a clean, we don't have any crawler now, and now we will go ahead and create. So basically, this will connect to our S3 location. It will crawl our file, and then it will give us the metadata for that. Before we do this, let's go ahead to S3 and load data to our bucket. Okay, so the data that I will be loading, I have a file here for orders. So I just created manually this file. So if you have a file that you can create it, just mimic kind of a file, or you can generate a file somewhere. However you get your data, it doesn't matter. But so I have this order data here with this column. So order ID, customer ID, order date, quantity, price, total amount. Okay, so this is the data that I have, and I will load this data to this bucket right here inside orders. I will just go ahead and upload that file. I will just add it, and I will call it orders. Go ahead and drop it right here. Okay, so now we have that file uploaded to our folder or our bucket. And now when we go to the crawler, Glue crawler, the next thing that we need to do is just create crawler. Crawler. All right. That will point to that file, S3 crawler. Okay, orders. All right, so that is how you can put any name here. And then we will go next here, data source configuration. We have not added our data, so we'll go ahead and do that. The data source is S3. You can see here we have a number of data sources. You can connect to JDBC. You can connect to Dynamo, Delta Lake, Iceberg, Hoodie. Okay. So these are the data locations that currently you can connect to. And then location of S3, yes, it is in this account. If you have a different account, you can do that. But this is, I'm using the same account. Go ahead and browse it. So if you see, when you browse, so all of your S3 buckets will be listed. I only have two currently. So this is the one that we'll be using, this second bucket here. And inside this bucket, I just want to select the orders. So everything that is in orders, we want to crawl. So we'll select that. And we want to crawl all subfolders. So you can have a lot of file speed drop there. So if you have data coming during different times of the day with different timestamps, then you can just use this option and it will crawl all the files and process them. All right, so we'll go ahead and add this S3 source. Okay, we'll go next. And then here now we need the IAM role. So this is the IAM role that will let your Glue connect to your S3 and things like that. All right, so we will go ahead and I don't have IAM role created here, so we'll create one. So we'll call this S3 Redshift, like so. Okay, so this is AWS Glue service role for S3 and Redshift. We'll go ahead and create it. Okay, it says it already exists. All right, so let's go ahead and create another one. So there's a Redshift S3 role like that. Okay, so that's created. So this one is automatically created, and you can see here this role trusts Glue and has permission to access your AWS Glue crawler. Okay. All right, so we have that one created now, and we will be using this role also to connect to our Redshift. So take a note of this role, Redshift S3 role. And now we'll go next. And here it says we need to choose our database. So we have default database here. So we'll go ahead and create, we will go ahead and add database. So for that, I will just go here to database, and then we will create a database here. Okay, so, and we will call this orders DB, like so. Go ahead and create this. So this will create our orders DB now, and when we go to our crawlers, we refresh this, we see that. Okay, so you can also do it from here. So this will bring a new tab and you can create your database. And then from here, we will not create a table. Some of these other options, we will just leave these ones as they are. And then for the frequency of this, you can like the scheduling for crawling your data, because every time you add data to your S3, you need to recrawl it. Okay, so if you know the interval of your data coming to S3, you can schedule that here. So you can put the cron expression. You can, if it's hourly, daily, weekly, and things like that. We'll run this on demand, so I'll leave it on demand. Then we'll click next, and then from here we will just go ahead and say create crawler. All right, so this now has created our crawler, and if you go here and refresh this, we should be able to see our crawler. And now we can go ahead and run this crawler, and this crawler will crawl our S3 table, will crawl our S3 file, and then I believe it will create a table here. Once that's done, it will create a table for us, but we'll see if that will do. Okay, so we'll let our crawler run. While that is running, let's move ahead and do our Redshift connection. Okay, so we also do need to connect our Glue to Redshift, because what we'll be doing in this video again is getting data from S3, we process it in Glue, and then we will write the processed data or transform data to Redshift. Okay, so then we do need to have connection from Glue to AWS Redshift. So we'll go ahead to connections. I'll open this in a new tab, and then we will go to create connection, here connections, And as you can see here, we have a lot of connectors. So you can see we have BigQuery, we have Kafka, we have Aurora. We want to create connections to Redshift. So I will click Redshift here, select it, and then hit next down here. And now when you go to your database instance, you will see your Redshift serverless. We named ours dev namespace. We'll choose that. If you're using the provision version, you should be able to see the cluster here. Go ahead and choose it. And then here, this is also very important. The database that we want to connect to is this one here, DemoDB. Okay, so we will go ahead and do that. So we will where is the connections right here? We will put that DemoDB database here, and then we will log in now to our AWS Redshift. So we'll put here the username and password, and this can be the username that you use to create your data warehouse, or it can also be a username that you created after you had your data warehouse created. So remember, you can create users within Redshift and grant permissions. So this can be any user. So if you have a user that you use, you can put the information here. I will use the one I created during setup. Okay, so I put the name as admin, and I will go ahead and put the password here for that. Okay, and then we'll hit next, and we will name this AWS data warehouse connection. Okay, and then from here now we will go ahead and hit next, and we will create the connection. Okay, right, so our Redshift connection now should be created. So if you go back again to connections, you will see that we have Redshift data warehouse connection, and the status is ready. But now this does not mean that your connection to Redshift is complete. So what you do need to do next is to test the connection if you are actually able to connect to Redshift. So just select this and then go to actions here and click test connection. So you do that, and then you choose the role. So this is the role that we created, AWS Service Redshift role. So select that and click confirm. It will try to connect and give you any errors. And as you can see, we do have an error here. And the error we see here is a VPC S3 endpoint validation for this subnet and this subnet. So it says it could not find S3 endpoint or NAT gateway for these subnets. So this means that we don't have an endpoint created in our VPC to connect to S3. Okay, so this is very important. So we do need to do that. So let's go ahead and create an endpoint in our VPC for S3 service, and make sure that these subnets are located in that endpoint. So then we'll go to our services and just type VPC here, and we will open VPC. And as you can see, VPC, we only have one VPC currently, and it is US East 1. We need to go to endpoints right here. And as you can see, the endpoint that we have here is an interface, but I don't believe we have any connection to S3 for this. So what we need to do here is we need to create another endpoint. And this is interface. We need to create gateway endpoint. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we will name this S3 VPC endpoint. Okay, the services that we want to select are S3. So we will choose an S3, and I'm in US East, so choose the region where you're located. So for me, I'm in US East 1, so I'll choose S3 for that. And then for this one, we want to create gateway, so we will create a gateway, and we will choose this VPC, which is this one right here. And here we do have 2 route tables. I created this manually, so the one of these other one is private, but I don't have any subnets associated to this. If you want to do that, you can create you can go ahead and create a private route table and specify the subnets that will go through that route table. So for me, I will just go with the public one, and this contains all of the subnets that were mentioned. So if you go to the subnets here, for example, this route table here, the subnets that we have for this ones here, let's see, actually, if we go to subnets here, like so, you can see all the subnets. So here, this is a subnet, and when you click this one, currently it is associated to that public, and that is the same subnet that was giving us error 858F3. Okay, so this is that one, and the other one was this one here. Oh, this is for this VPC. So it's just the subnet that was having issues. Okay, so we'll go ahead and proceed with our creation. Okay, so we'll choose this route table. Okay, and this route table has all the 6 subnets, and one of the subnets here that we have is the one that was having issues. So we'll go ahead and just select this public one, and we will say full access for this. Now, if you don't have any route table created, this is actually an important step. You can create a route table for yourself and specify the subnets that will be located here. Okay, so if you just go to the route table location here, just create a route table. Okay, so you can create a route table and select the VPC, and then you create it, and you will specify the subnets that will be allocated, but I believe it will be created for you automatically. I don't remember creating this one, the public one here, so I think this one was created for me automatically when I was creating my VPC the very first time. Okay, so we'll go ahead now and create this one allows full access. We'll go ahead and hit create endpoint. Okay, so we have created our endpoint to S3 now, and it will have all of the subnets associated to that. So now we can go ahead and retry this. So we'll go ahead and retry it if now it's good. So we'll go here and test the connection again. All right. So this will give us any additional errors if they are. Some of the other errors that I've seen include IAM roles. So for example, if your IAM role does not have permissions to connect to Redshift, or if that role does not have access to the data in Redshift, then all you have to do is just go and modify that IAM role and add the Redshift permissions. Okay, so just go to IAM, go to the role that you created, and you can add additional roles. But for me, I didn't see that one here. And you can see now we have our connections to Redshift successful, and we no longer see the error. Okay, so we created our endpoint to S3 service and added, within that public route table, we had the subnet that was giving us issues here available in there. So we just, we did that, and now we are able to successfully connect to Redshift. So all we have to do is just cancel here. Okay, so now we know that our connection from Glue to Redshift is good. And now the next thing that we need to do is basically go ahead and create our ETL pipeline to do our transformations. But quickly before we do that, we left our crawler running when we came back here. So let's go and see now our crawler if all is good. So actually we had the first run successful. So this one completed, and you see there's one table here that was created. So let's see if there's a table here now. There we go. So you can see this table created here, and you can view the data actually. So if you click here, view table or table data, it will ask you to go to Athena. So you can do that. Just hit proceed. This will bring you to Athena, and you can see this is now your data catalog for Glue. This is your Glue data catalog, and you do have 2 databases here. You can choose the orders DB that we created, and you can see inside this database we have our table now. Okay, so you can see now we have the table, order ID, custom ID, order date, and the associated data types. So you can see order date came as a string. You can actually go ahead also and query this data. So you can go ahead and select from orders DB orders. You do need to specify the primary work group. So this is basically where your Athena results will be stored. So it needs a location in S3. If you see an error here, just go ahead and specify the location in S3 where your logs from Athena will be stored. And then go ahead and run the query. It should complete and give you your data. All right, so there we go. So you can see here, even before we go to Redshift, you can actually integrate Athena with AWS Glue. So if you didn't want to do anything else, if you just wanted to query your data in S3 using Athena, then you can do something like this, where you crawl your data using Glue. You crawl your data in S3 and then come to Athena and do the analysis. So you can see now that this is our order data. We have 10 records here, and this is how our data looks like. And you can do the same. You can see the same thing. The file we uploaded was this one here. So you can see we have around here 10 records. Or how many records do we have here? We have order number 1 to 13, and hopefully that's what we see here. Order number 1 to 10. Actually, we have 1 to 10 here. So hold on. Order ID. What order was this? Okay, so order ID here. I think we need to go, we limited it to 10. So let's say limit 20 here. Then run it again. Okay, so yeah, there we go. So that one was only going up to 10. Now we have all of our data, the entire file here. Okay, so we are good now. We are able to see that our crawler is working fine. We have our Redshift connection working. And then the next thing is, now let's go ahead and transform our data. Okay, so I will just close this. And for that, I mentioned at the beginning of this video that we will be using the visual ETL. You also have notebooks, so you can create a notebook in Glue to integrate and transform your data and things like that. So we'll use the visual ETL. So we'll just open this. Hold on, I want to open this in a new tab here. Okay, so this will open as a new tab here. We don't have any job currently running, so we'll just hit here visual ETL like that. And here this is where now we can specify drag and drop. Okay, so you can see we have a number of tabs here. We have a source tab here. This is where your data is coming from. We have transforms if you want to perform any transformations on your data coming in. And then we have target. This is where your data is going to. Okay, all right, so now let's go to the source tab here. We have these options. We will be getting our data from Amazon S3. So we'll choose that, our tab, as our source. For transforms, we will do change of schema, basic change of schema. So we will change the names of our columns. That's the only thing we'll do, and probably the data types for a few of them. And then we will go to our target here, and our target will be Redshift. So we'll choose Redshift. Okay, so as you can see here, this is how our nodes look like. Now the next thing that we need to do is to configure this. So we'll go ahead and choose this one for S3. When you click that, you will see this tab open here, and hold on, what just happened? I think I refreshed it. Let's do that again. Okay, we'll choose a source as S3. Transform is this one, and our target is Redshift, like that. Okay, so we'll go here. This is our source. Okay, so this is our name, S3, and the location for this one is, we'll be using data catalog. So this is our Glue data catalog, and the database that we'll be using is orders DB. and then the table that will be taking the data from is orders. All right, and that's it. So we will go ahead and save it, and you can actually preview this data. So if you choose the role, you can start session to preview that data. So that is going to preview our data, and we will see how our schema will be looking like once we are done with that. And then the next thing that we need to do after this is the transformation. So we'll just do that while this one is running. We'll go to transform, and as you can see here, based on our table in catalog, we can see these are the source ID. So this is the source key here, order ID, and this is how it will be looking like in the target. So I just want to change this, and I want to just name this order ID. Okay, and then this one will be customer ID. Okay, so let me just make this one small, doesn't matter, you can make it big. I just want to show you that you can do it here. So this one I'll just get rid of the underscores. Status will be status, product ID will be product ID, and then total amount will be total amount, like so. We will change the data type here to int. Okay, like this. Customer ID also to int. Order date will leave it as string. Status will be string. Product ID will make it integer. Quantity will make it integer, and then the rest of this will be double. So those are just the decimal. Okay, we will save this, and then all right. So when we come back here, you can see now that we have our data. This is a scan of how our data be looking like. Hold on. So looks like we have an issue here. We have extra nulls, and probably this is because our source data might have additional fields here. So I'm just going to delete anything that might be a problem here. Okay, like so. Okay, and I will save this file. I will upload it again. Actions upload here. We'll just override this file. We'll do this. Okay, and then we will upload it. Okay, so just making sure that we don't have any weird data coming in. All right, so where is our official tool? Right here. Actually, while that one is done, I am going to go to crawler for a second, and we will recrawl this. So I'm just going to run this crawler again. Just to get rid of any additional empty fields there. All right, so we are here now, and the output, you can see we changed our schema now. So this is how our schema will be looking like in Redshift. So order ID will be an integer, customer ID will be an integer, this will be a string. Okay, and this is how the columns will be looking like. All right, so the next thing that we need to do here finally is we need to go to Amazon Redshift. Okay, so here in Redshift here, we have the node parent here is this one for change schema. That is looking good. And then the direct connection here will be going directly to Redshift. We will choose our Redshift connection, and you can see we have the demo database. And then we will choose our schema. This will be public. And for the tables, we don't have any table. We want to name this table orders when we run this job. Okay, so we will name this table as orders, and that will create a table for us. And when you go to our Redshift editor, currently we don't have any table in this schema. Okay, so in our public schema we have nothing here. So we expect when we run this job that a table called orders will be created. Okay, and then so this is a very important part now, handling of data in the target table. So how do you want to handle this data? We want to incrementally load this data. So what that means is that every time you get the new data, we want to append the data to the existing table in Redshift if it's a new data. But if it is a changed or a deleted record in Redshift, we want to match that so that the table can be updated in real time within Redshift. So we can do that. And I'm going to actually show you how that happens. So for that, we will go with the second option here for match data. And for this to happen, we need to choose a primary key. So you do need to have a key that Redshift will use to determine if this is a new record or it's an updated record. And in our case, the primary key that we'll be using is this one for order ID, because this will be unique in our case. So we will choose order ID as our key to use for updates and matching. And of course, when it's matched, we want to update the record in the table. That is the condition that we want to do. You can also delete it, but we will update it. Okay, so that is what will happen there. We will do a demo on this, and then I will also show you how append looks like. So we'll come back and change this condition here, and then we'll do append, and we will see how Redshift behaves when we do that. Okay, so this is, I think this is the one that you probably want to do if you are processing incremental data, because incremental data means something may have changed in the source data, the same key, or just new data coming in. So you just want to do match, and Glue will do the rest of the work for you, and Redshift as well. So go ahead here and save this, and we will name this one ETL S3 Redshift, like so, and then we save it. All right, and then now let me just make sure that my crawler is finished. Yes, so we'll go here, and then we just go ahead and run this job. So just click run here. Okay, so this will start our job now. And here, this is a script section. So that this is how that job looks like in the script. So if you just want to write the script, you can just read this tab here and write your code. We will go to runs now and see what is running. So this is that job running. We'll fill the details here. And what I will do is actually go to CloudWatch logs, and we will trail this the logs for this. So we'll just let it show up here, the logs as they come. All right, and then we'll keep refreshing here to see if our job is completed or not. Okay, so this will take this will run depending on, we have a small data set, so this should not take very long. So you can see here the logs, and you can just keep coming here and refresh it. So this will probably take a minute or two to complete. Okay, so you can just see here what it's doing, and once it is done, our data will be written to Redshift. So what Glue is doing is basically getting our data from S3, doing the transformations that we specified in our Glue, where is that environment. Let's actually bring up our Glue job here. Okay, so this is that job. So yeah, so it's just going to S3, doing the transformations, and then writing it to Redshift. And if there's any updates that needs to be made in Redshift, it's going to do that for us. And as you can see in Redshift, this is how the columns will be looking like. All right, so let's go. Okay, so we have here, and I think this probably is done. Let's see. Okay, so it's still going. All right, so you can see the logs here as it goes. All right, so I see something says a block stopped, so maybe, yeah, there we go. So it is succeeded. If there's any failure, you will also see here, as well as the what the error is. Now let's go to Redshift and see what's happening. So if we refresh our Redshift now, and we go to our database and the schema, we should be able to see a table created. So, okay, so there we go. So you can see the order table created here now. And when you inspect a schema, you can see order ID is an integer, customer ID is an integer, order date is a string here, and a string as well. Okay, so you can see that our schema now got transformed, and also the names. So you can see order ID, we got rid of the underscores. All right, so that is pretty cool. And then now we can query our data. So if you just query that data order by the order ID, let's see what we see. Okay, so this is going to run our table now, and there we go. All right, so this is our table now in Redshift. Very nice. Okay, so you can see order ID, customer ID, and the rest of our data coming in as expected. Okay, so we have 13 records, and all the 13 records successfully made it to Redshift. All right, very good. So you can do some validation here. So like for example, order ID number 1 has customer ID 100, and the total amount here is 1848. So you can just do a quick check on that. 1848. There we go. Okay, so the next thing that I will do now is we want to add some data to this table, and I have this data here, so we will actually do this right here. We will copy this and put it in the same file here, and we will append it right here like so. And what I will do here is I will delete this number 13. Okay, I will delete this number 13 here because that's already in our data warehouse, and I will name this one the new 13 like so, and I will just call like this. Hold on. This will be the new 13. So before it was, what was 13? 13 was created. Actually, we want to change it to something like cancelled. So we will make 13 cancelled here. And then what was the, it was 10, 12 here. So we will make it 10, 13, okay? And then the quantity is 3. Okay, the quantity was 5 here. We'll make it 3. Okay, so I think that's good. And then let's pre-populate the rest of this up to here. Okay. All right, there we go. So when we load this data now, you can see that the ID that has changed here in this case is number 13 because we already have this in our database or data warehouse. So because we use the match option, if there's a matching key that comes in, what it will do is update that data to this new one. So now when we upload this data, we expect number 13 here, the status to change to cancelled, and also the product ID here will be 1013, the quantity will be 3, and even the total amount will change to that one there. So it's 1026 here. We expect it to go to 1413. Okay, so you can do a few more here, but I'm just going to do that. I will save this, and we will drop this to our packet. So we'll just overwrite this file. So we'll go ahead and do that, and we will upload it. Okay, and the next thing that we need to do is run the crawler again to scan that additional file. And once the crawler is done, we will go ahead and run our job again. So let's just let this one run, and when it's done, we will go ahead and run our glue job. So this should not take long. Maybe it will take 30 seconds to 1 minute. So let's let it run, and then we'll come back. Okay, so we can see that it is beginning to stop now. So I believe that means that this crawler successfully ran. Yep, so it completed. Okay, so the next thing we need to do from there now is go to our run, our job again. So if we go to, you can go to your, if you go to runs here, right here, you can run it again from here. If you go to your job details, you'll see the job here. Let's see if we have a tab here for jobs. I think ETL jobs. If you open ETL jobs here, you will see your job right here. This is a ETL job. Just click here and run the job, or you can just, yeah, I think you have to select it and run this job. Okay, so this will run our job now, and what we expect to do, this job to do is append the additional records that we added, and then update if there's a key that is already existing in our data warehouse. In that case, it was number 13. So we expect number 13 now to reflect with this new data here. Okay. So this one will also probably take 1 minute or two to complete running. And while that one is running, we can just keep running here to see if that data has come in. We still have 13, and that number 13 is still created. We want to see that's cancelled. Okay, so we will let that one also run. I think that was another one. Okay, yeah, this is that one that we want to. So I'm actually going to close this here and here, even this one here. Okay, so this one is still running. We can view the logs also. Yeah, so that's pretty neat. Like AWS is just very nice. You can see all of the information, you know what's going on. And this is CloudWatch logs, so you can just use it to monitor and see your logs as they come in. So if there's any error, then this is where you'll find the error. I think the dashboard for Glue will tell you what might be the problem is, but you will also see more details here. I see here it says the blog manager stopped, so probably our job might have finished. Okay, here we go, and it succeeded. So now if we go to Redshift, we expect to see about 24 records, I think. So the additional records came in, and this one will have been updated if it worked properly. So let's go ahead and do that. So we will run this code query. There we go. We have 23, of course, because one of the other one was the header. And the field of interest here is number 13 for us. There we go. So you can see number 13 updated from created, and then it updated the date, and then now it is coming in as cancelled. Our quantity updated as well, and our price also updated to 1413 from where it was before. So it's now matching our new data that's coming in, which is right here. Okay, so that is how the incremental data load works with updates as well as inserts. Okay, so now you can see that option in Glue is working as desired. So if that is the functionality and use case that you needed, we have demonstrated here actually that with Glue you can do that. You can bring in incremental data, and Glue will do the updates for you, and your data will be inserted to Redshift with the updated records. All right, and then the last one that I wanted to do in this demo is now if you just choose the option of the other option just for append, right? If you just do the append, what will happen? Okay, so if we go now to our ETL jobs, right? We open this ETL job. Let's modify this place. Okay, so let's modify. We will modify this. Instead of match, we'll just do append, right? So we'll just do append, insert to the target. So it doesn't matter if the data is already there. Just keep inserting, keep inserting, keep inserting. Okay, so you don't have to choose any other additional option here. We'll just save this here. And what we will do is I will actually add some additional data to this table. So I have records starting from 24 going to 35. I'm just going to copy this and I will append it right here like that. Okay. So we added about, how many records did we add? So we added up about 12 records without the header. Okay, about 12 records. And we will go ahead and save this one now. So we'll save this. And now you have about 35 in total records, I think, right here. So this is 36 minus 135. So we'll upload this also. We will upload this file and override our existing file, right? And we will recrawl this. So we'll run the crawler again to update our data in our data catalog. And so what we expect when we run our Glue job to see is that all of those records in that table, in that file, all of them will be appended. So you will have probably several instances of number 1, several instances of number 2, number 3 the same. And here we have 23 records here. Because we are appending, we are not doing anything other than append in this target table. You will probably see that the amount of records that we get there will go up. So if we just bring calculator here, 23 plus I believe 35 that was coming in, so we'll have around 58 records in total. Okay, so it's basically getting everything from that file that we're bringing in and appending it to this table. So that might not be the functionality that you need, but if that is what you need, then that's how it will work. All right, so that is what we expect to see. We expect to see that now on top of these records that we have here, we will basically get the entirety of the file that we uploaded, this file here, all of these records, including what we already have in our data warehouse, will be uploaded. Okay, so let's see how far is our crawler. Okay, so it's going, it's stopping. So let's go ahead now and do another run of that job. So we'll go here and just hit run here. Okay, so this is going to run again and we can view the details of this. I don't think that's the one. If we go here, go to runs, this is the run that we just triggered right now. Okay, there we go. All right, and I'm just going to close this one now and we can watch our logs again. Okay, so this is going to also run our job now, and in this case we are doing the append. So we expect to see more records now added to our data warehouse. All right, so we will let this one run, and you can also actually see the same thing here. So you can see that you can also trail your driver logs here and see what's happening with your job. So all of those, you do it here. Okay. Yeah, so AWS is a very good cloud provider. They have built these very stable places that you can easily monitor your logs. Okay, so post-processing finished. Then we're closing into our job being done here. Actually, it's done. All right, good. So now let's go to our Redshift, and we expect now to see additional 35 records here. So let's see if that's what happened. There we go. You can see now we have 58 records, and that is what we expected to happen. And because we appended it, so you can see now we have copies of each data. If it was already there, I think from 24 is what we don't, yeah, from 24 we only head up to 23. All IDs from 24 moving forward, we don't have any duplicates, but the duplicates are for the records that we already had in our table. Okay, so that is how the append works if you configure it that way. If that's not, again, your desired, and I don't think that's the desired feature for most of your workloads. I don't think that's how it will be. The merge one works perfectly well if you're doing incremental data loads. All right, so now we have our data and data transformed and getting loaded successfully to Redshift. I think now you can schedule this if you want. You can see your schedules, so you can schedule this job. So you can create a schedule here and frequently run this job, and as well as the crawler as well. So you can schedule your crawler, and if you don't want to have any crawler happening, any crawling activity happening to your data, then you can just run your job. But yeah, so it provides you with a schedule as well as the transformations. All right, guys, so just a quick recap. I think in this video we went through the end-to-end ETL process. So this is ETL process now. So this is where you bring your data to your data lake, you transform it with Glue, and then you send it to Redshift. There's another one for ELT where you load your data to your data warehouse, and then you do the same thing. You can even use the same thing with Glue on that. So if you wanted to load your data from S3 or from the source where you're extracting from to Redshift, can do that, and then you can use Glue to transform that data. I think this can also be ETL depending on your use case. So if say you had your data coming into S3, ELT, so if this was your data lake and you wanted to transform the data once it's here, then this can be ELT as well, where now you're extract and then you're loading it to S3, and then you use Glue to transform that data. Alright, guys, so again we went in this video through the process of loading data from Amazon S3 to Redshift using Glue. We walked through the process of creating connections in Glue to Redshift, and then also from Glue to S3, created our crawlers, made sure we created our endpoints so that we could connect Glue to Redshift, and we did our transformations where we had a file that was getting incrementally loaded to Redshift. So we did two options here, the merge and the append. And we successfully demonstrated how those two features work. Alright, guys, so that is all I had for you in this video. I hope you found it helpful, and if you did, please do subscribe to the channel, give thumbs up to this video, and add your comments in the comment section. Alright, guys, I will see you in the next video. Bye bye.